Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in to us from. And welcome to episode 4. And today we're going to be talking about that silent sabotage, the toxins that are in our homes and the things that we are surrounded by, toxins all around us. And imagine if you could wake up every day feeling energized, and having vitality, just feeling like you could do anything. You could conquer anything that you wanted to feel, anything that you wanted to do, anywhere you wanted to be, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. But what if you found out that there was a small, tiny little sabotage element that was keeping you from doing that? And it could be the things that you think are enhancing not only the way that you appear, but the way that you feel. And it could be the colognes, it could be the foods that we're eating, it could be the shampoo that we're using. And if all of those elements combined were creating an experience that was less than what you really wanted. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I am joined here with my co-host, Charlie Collins, an amazing coach and works with mindset. Charlie, I want you to just share a little bit about your experience this morning and what your thoughts are as we dive into this really so needed topic.
Well, first of all, the name of this podcast fuels me, the fueled life. And the fuel we're talking about is not driving into T1 type of gas stations and getting the premium 93 or going to the high blue gas octane jet fuel. It's not something that we have to go to and find and locate and get that perfect cocktail in order to have a fueled life. That power we were born with. It's deep within us. And it could, over the years, be getting dampened, or it could be getting, our bodies are constantly trying to keep us healthy. But if we're putting toxins or we're living around them, and we're not bad people. We didn't do it wrong. It's just the way, it's just what we have been marketed, and it's what they're doing, whether it's well, Stanley, here's the deal. Like you said, I'm Charlie Collins. I'm a guy that was living without curiosity. I'm a guy that was programmed, maybe in just doing the same things over and over every day. And just because I didn't know to look outside that bubble. I didn't know that could be maybe some shampoo I was using, or deodorant, or lip balm, or colognes, or on and on and on, hand sanitizers or soaps, things I was just using that you would see in all houses or businesses. That why would I challenge that? These companies are massive and they make beautiful packaging and it looks so good for me. And this is what I've been doing all my life. Why would I change that? Well, because I became a little curious.
That's it. And curiosity, when we approach life and we approach our personal well-being as a child does, they're curious. They're constantly asking the questions. Why do you do that? Well, then you give them the answer and they ask, why do you do that? And we get that curiosity kind of educated out of us. And we adopt the practices that are all around us. We go through the grocery store. We don't really think about it. We're not taught to read the label, really read the label. We read the billboard. The billboard is that big advertisement on the front of that package saying how vibrant our hair is going to be or how vibrant our heart's going to be. And we never question it. We just assume that the marketing is really out for our benefit rather than their own. And we've adopted that principle that, hey, obviously they've got scientists, they've got chemists. These people surely wouldn't put profit over people, would they? And when you start to question and you get curious and you go, what is in here that tastes so good? Well, it can be multiple things. It's addictive, and it triggers our dopamine, it triggers our taste buds, and we go, that tastes good, or that feels good, or that smells good, not knowing the other benefits that are not being told. And now, when I say benefits, I don't mean benefits for your personal, I'm talking benefits for monetary growth that is actually harming your full life.
And when you move over to colognes and deodorants and soaps and toothpaste and household, that stuff isn't addicting. Like, it isn't like the ultra processed food industry where they know what they're doing and they're
Right.
triggering and doing. But who doesn't want to look good, smell good, feel good? And those products are marketed to us that if you use this, it'll transform your life. You'll feel better, look better, smell better. Hey, you'll get the girl of your dreams or the boy of your dreams. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, how could I? But when you peel back the onion and you look,
Exactly.
and I did it, Stanley. I remember it was by 2008, 7. I was at a conference and they were starting to talk about some of this. And I'm thinking, what does this have to do with anything? I'm here to break through to success. But break through to success to me meant make more money. And to the conference, it was mental, spiritual, physical success. It wasn't monetary success. If we invest in ourselves, then that financial and all that other stuff seems to fall into place a little better. And I was just blown away. And that's where my curiosity started to really crack open, that I became interested, not committed. I just was interested to learn more. Like, how is it possible the deodorant I'm using is hurting me? And
Right.
then I learned some things.
Yeah, Charlie, I want to say it was probably 15 years ago, and I heard about a man that got cancer because his lymph nodes were totally plugged up, and I remember the daughter of this gentleman saying that this man used to put a deodorant on all throughout the day, so he would recoat his arms, and so it plugged up his lymph nodes. And I remember that conversation. And now, fast forward to about 5 years ago, there were people going online, people that I had become affiliated with, and they were going online and they were saying, I'm doing a detox, a chemical detox. And I couldn't understand all what they were doing, because I'm thinking, okay, so maybe they're getting rid of the pesticides around their home. They're not putting Raid in their house. Well, they were actually doing a detox of the chemicals that they were putting on their body. And they started talking about this vibrancy, this energy that they didn't have. There was like a suppression that was removed, and it made me curious. And then I heard a doctor, Dr. Amen, talk about that most lipsticks have lead in them. And he calls it the kiss of death, because women are putting lipsticks because with the lead in there, it helps stay on the lip longer. Now, when you start thinking that you're trading beauty external for beauty internal, that's a game that I don't want to play. So it became, I started to get more curious. And, one of the simple things that I did was, number one, I discovered the difference between antiperspirant and deodorant. Antiperspirant keeps you from perspiring. So it's blocking the release of those toxins that are inside my body.
Yep.
And right up underneath my arm, there's where my lymph nodes are located as well. And my lymphatic system is my garbage dump. So if it gets plugged up, it's kind of like the garbage company goes on strike, and I've got 3 months worth of garbage that's piled up, and I can't even take it out to the road. It's got to sit inside my garage. Now, I'm not going to want to go inside my garage. And I start questioning, when I got sick, when I didn't feel good, what was going on in my body? And then I started to just take 1% and go, what could I do? What was one simple thing that I could do? And I don't spray cologne on my body anymore. And rarely do I wear it, but if I do, I spray it on the shirt, I let it sit for a little while, and then it's on the clothing and it's not making the contact with my skin. And I only do that on a rare occasion. I don't get out a whole lot. I'm in here, but um, that was just one thing that I could do. And then I started saying, okay, could I use essential oils? Now, this is not weird. It's not, it's not girly, but you can get some really good smelling essential oils if you want a scent. And those are actually helping your body and also triggering your olfactory system and turning on natural sensory in a healthy way.
Mm. Yeah. And you said something that this stuff might not even, you won't even have a thought about it. You might start feeling your body like I hit 50 or 45 and I'm starting to feel some creaks and a little slower in the morning, a little sluggish in the afternoon. So there's something, am I willing to notice the obvious? Do I believe the medical model, let's say, and say, well, you're getting older.
Right.
Because of that, you got to slow down. You got to rest more. You can't, you need that Snickers at 3 p.m. or the energy drink. I mean, because it's marketed as like this thing is exactly the solution to what is the lie. And, and it's like, so this is where I was willing to start to notice the obvious of my life. Like, is it okay? Maybe it's true. Maybe, but it isn't. And then I learned, and Stanley, you know what else blew me away was I never looked outside this bubble. And then I looked, like when I changed toothpaste. Why do I want to put fluoride and sugar in me?
Right.
So I looked and there were hundreds of healthy toothpaste. I had no idea. I thought there were 3: Crest, Colgate, AIM. I don't even know the fourth, but they have the most marketing dollars, so they're going to be in front of our face constantly. Exactly. And in our mouth. And then there's a whole world of healthy deodorants, of healthy essential oils, of healthy fragrances, because like you said, spraying that out of the can, it does not trigger olfactory. It doesn't trigger something in the brain that enables more grace or more connection or more good feeling. It triggers toxin, red alert.
Right.
But we don't know that. And we're like, oh, it smells so much better in my house, but I don't feel so good.
Right. That's it. And when we're trying to create an environment that is inviting, but we're killing the main environment that we're living in, it's not even a balance. There's no even close to a balance. And I don't know if it was maybe 15 years ago, candles, when they went to soy candles. I don't burn a candle in my house and I don't let one being burnt, but they went from whatever it was before to a soy candle, which didn't have the contaminants and the toxins in it, but it still left a soot on the wall or the ceiling, wherever that candle was burning. And I decided that I don't want any candles in my home. I don't want that soot. I worked hard to clean it, and we work hard to clean our external environment, and then we bypass the internal environment, the one that's creating the experience that we're having. And I hear people talk about seeing children and going, man, I wish I had their energy. Well, they don't have 45 or 55 years of collecting toxins. That's why they've got that energy. And when we go back to the basics And we go back to that nurturing where we haven't had all those things. When we start taking an inventory, that's when I think that's when the change really takes place.
Yeah. And again, if I didn't show up at well, there wasn't podcasts back when I started making the changes, but if we don't just hear something that invokes curiosity, and curiosity did not kill the cat. Cats live longer than almost honey house pets because they're curious. They're constantly putting their nose into things they shouldn't because they want to explore. And they live to be 21. It's like, gosh, this cat is forever living. My dogs don't make it that long, but darn cats that are curious, dogs get set into a habitual pattern and do the same things, Cats, yeah, they're always changing it up and being very curious. They're like, what are you doing in there? I don't know. It seemed like something to go check out. And that's how I started to become. I don't know. I use foot powder. Let me check this. What's the ingredients? Because that's a good release of toxins is sweat through the feet. And am I blocking it? Oh God. It told me it's healthy, it's good, it's drying, it's athletic foot help. And then I realized this stuff is no good. It's not. And it's like, I can't believe it. I've been using it for so long because I believed it was the right thing. And it's not because I'm uneducated. I didn't think to look outside that belief. I didn't believe, Stanley, it was a time I couldn't even fathom that a company would lie to me.
Right.
Because I wouldn't do that. I owned a business for 19 years. I never once lied to the person so they would spend money and that didn't happen. I didn't. And then I realized, wait, you said it in the beginning of this. They got to make money. And They want more R&D money, and the investors want their money, and CEOs want their money. So how can we make these products so they buy it again?
Right. And the thing of it is, Charlie, they're not actually lying to us. They're just not telling us all the facts. And this is where that investigative curiosity comes in because, okay, so they're just omitting. And we talk about, the distraction of omission and commission. If they're not bringing it forward essentially in the beginning, they're just saying, hey, we're going to give you what we want to give you. If you want to know any more, do some research and find out for yourself. And this is where that curiosity comes in, and you go, what does this product do? Why is this chemical that's 15 letters long that I can't pronounce it? If your brain can't pronounce it, there's your first indication. Okay. And when you get curious, then you become empowered. And when you take that power back, now you become unstoppable. And that's what the fueled life is all about, having that vibrancy and longevity. How many people will say, well, Stan, $12 toothpaste is expensive. Well, if I break it down and just write down the date that you open up that toothpaste, maybe it's going to last you 3 months. Divide that $12 by 90 days. It's pennies for good smelling breath and healthy hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that there's only a few chemicals or few ingredients, they're not even chemicals, they're brought together as a kind of a chemical, but that minimal cost, your most expensive foods, your most expensive products are actually your cheapest ones. That's what's happening, because it destroys the very essence of your being.
Yeah. And why would they put sugar in toothpaste? Because it triggers an addiction over
Right.
time, and then you can't see any other choices in the store. Your radar goes right back to the one that gave you that little something. I
Yeah.
think it's clean teeth, but it's really an addictive connection. And there's 262 names for sugar
That's
that are approved and that companies are allowed to put on. And we've already talked about
right.
that, but I'm just saying, so good luck. And, but we have aids, we have apps, we have things that can help us. So we often talk about YUKA, yucca. And I remember when we first, way back, I think you told me about it way back. And and I already had been doing my own research, looking at it, but I never had a tool in my hand. And it's only gotten so much better because its database of what's in the product, the users has grown. So they have gotten more money to invest more in the company. But it's like, I remember scanning, going, I could hear my daughter going, "Oh my God," she's yelling from upstairs. And I hear, push, push. She's throwing out makeups and things all over her room because she realized this stuff, I don't want to live this way. And she was like
Right.
21 or 2. And I was like, yeah. And we're like, then like, I can't say that. I don't want to go names of companies, but it's one of the most popular soups in the world. It might have a red and white label, and it's chicken noodle. It is the most toxic soup on the market. And it's like, and like, there's a head and a shoulder type of shampoo and it's like, it gives you a rating out of 100, right? And it tells you this is like 3. So it gets 3 positives out of 97 negatives.
Yeah.
And then it shows you why. And it's like, oh, how can they? Because it does help with dandruff.
Yeah.
It does do what they told you. See, what do these companies do, Stanley? They market to what we want. I want to smell good. I want to feel good. I want to look good. And I want to have energy in the afternoon. So I need this deodorant, this cologne, this toothpaste, this makeup. Well, okay, maybe not me, but this lip balm. And then I need this energy drink, this Snickers, and I need this dinner. And gosh, they've answered all the little thoughts that came to my mind.
Right. Right.
You know what they're doing.
Yes. Obviously, they absolutely do know what they're doing. They're there to make money. They're not there to make health. And this is where we have that responsibility, the ability to have a response to say, I want something different. And I know that there may be somebody that's listening or will hear this and they say, you know what, right now I feel great. I don't have any issues. I don't notice these things. But our experience is never like so abrupt that it's like hitting a brick wall. Very rarely does that happen until you go and you get that report that, hey, you've got something now. Now we've got 3 days to make a decision, and this is what you have to do. And I don't want to come to that point. So when I'm talking about that is you go and you visit somebody in a white coat and they say, look, this is your condition and you've got 3 days to make a decision. Otherwise it's going to be, you may not make it. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard those reports. And people start to take inventory of what they're bringing into their body. And it's so subtle. It is the plastics that are leaching into the water with the plastic bottles. And people don't realize this. I had a friend who got breast cancer, and she used to drink out of water bottles all the time. And some of those water bottles sat in the sun for a period of time, and then they got cooled back down. Well, that plastic got heated up and put those chemicals in there. And that's what she contributed to her experience of getting breast cancer. Now, that's a true story, and there's more and more just like it. And It's so the person that's listening and they say, I feel fine. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you're feeling fine, but it is the subtle creeping in of those contaminants that go under the radar until the bomb goes off. And once it goes off, then people find themselves saying, I wish I would have done something different. And that's why I say knowledge is not power, it is the application of it. And once you know, you can't unknow.
And now you know.
And now you know.
So and this is nothing to be concerned or freaked out about, or
Right.
it's like there's healthy Facebook groups, there's websites, there's people all over. But you're going to be a little different than the norm, because the norm doesn't live that way, and that's okay. And I just took it piecemeal. I just slowly stepped into it and changed things. Tried a new deodorant. Ew, that doesn't work at all. And then I said, well, let me search out another one. And then eventually, and then you find some of these big companies are starting to make healthier products. Why? Because they're losing people to the other companies. And then they go, well, then let's do it, darn it.
Right.
Which I'm like, why didn't you do it in the beginning? But I'm not going to ask that because I don't want the answer. And yeah, so Stanley, you talked about something. It was probably before we hit record. So it's like you have a glass, right? And 3/4 of the way up, it's perforated. So once it's filling up, water can drain out. So it never gets to the top of the glass, right?
Right.
But when you are doing all sorts of toxic stuff, what it's food, it's environment, it's thinking, it's behavior and all that, all of a sudden the demand of going into the cup just goes over the filtering system, and now it starts going over the top of the rim. It can't keep up with the toxic environment that you're creating inside of you. And that is where leaky gut and colon problems and liver problems and kidney problems and all sorts of problems. And then we go to the doctor, like, doc, and he goes, pill number 62 to fix that problem. And right. I love that analogy, and think about that, visualize that. It's like my body is built to take care of, and I can put some toxic stuff in. I mean, we live in, cars go by,
right.
Factories are doing, you walk down the street and it's like, ooh, but that our bodies are built to take that on. Even burning a soy candle, a little soot in the house, or all of that's okay. I mean, it's the fact that when we get up in the morning, the first thing we're doing is toxic. And then we're going toxic, and our bodies aren't built for that. And right. Then you add ultra processed food into that mix, you're filling that up. It's bypassing the filtering system that was been working great up to a certain point. Now it starts spilling over. And, the 3 most important things, I believe, is a healthy liver, healthy gut, and healthy brain. And those 3 can't keep up with the management system once we overflow the toxic.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say about BPAs that they're found in plastics, and a lot of our foods are wrapped in plastic. And if you're buying ultra processed foods and then you throw it into a plastic container, and then you bring that plastic container home and you actually throw it in the microwave, you're just increasing the BPAs and also the plastics that leach into your food. Now, BPA is known to mimic estrogen, and it can throw your hormone balance off track. Once you begin to take an inventory, it wrecks you, it shakes you at the core, and you go, why in the world? Because cheap packaging, there's an expense to it somewhere. And when our food comes in plastic, even though it says it's been triple washed, double washed, quadruple washed, you're still getting the plastics that leach into the food. So when you can, wash your foods. Simple little things. Vinegar, a gallon bottle of vinegar is $3.39 at my local store. And every bit of fruit, every vegetable that I can put into that water, I put vinegar and water, let it soak for a minute, rinse it off, and now I've taken care of a lot of the pesticides, a lot of the plastic that's leached from the product, the packaging into the food. Now you can't do that with meat. I don't eat processed meat, but that's another story. But what I do take care of is the things that I can do, I apply. And that's what we're wanting to promote here is becoming aware of these toxins and taking one step.
That's it. Pulling your head out of the sand and not saying it's intentionally in there. Not saying you got your head up your. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying when my head popped out and I went, there's a whole world out there, and curiosity just kept opening doors of, more grace and more health and more great people. I never would have met you if I wasn't on a journey of the fueled life. I
Right.
wouldn't have met a lot of great people. And it's like, I love having those conversations. I'm not a TGIF type of guy. Let's stop by and get some wings and beers, and I don't want to harsh on anybody. It's like, just come to. And like you said, do a little research, read a couple of articles, watch 14,000 YouTube videos on health. and
Right.
and then just say, what do I want to do with my life? Because you're in charge. If
Right.
you're feeling sick and tired and lonely and you're having waves of depression and self-pity, and you think it's a pill's gonna fix it, or it's the boss, and you seem like the world outside of you is starting to get harsher, it's probably time to go grab a really good sized mirror and just step into what could be.
Right. And that's the thing, Charlie, and what my encouragement to those that are listening. I'm not telling you to throw all your products away. I'm not telling you to do that. What we're doing is just like Charlie said, we both immerse ourselves into further education and higher training, and we become the advocate for our clients. And the greater the information that I can bring to my clients, it's also the greater information that I bring to myself. Because as I'm researching, let's just say one topic, I'm tripping over, and Charlie's got a great book called Tripping into the Light. And this is actually tripping into the light, because what we're doing is we're saying, hey, it's right there in front of us. And once you begin to know the room is illuminated, now you can prevent from stubbing your toe. Now you can prevent from falling into a trap. And with the training that both Charlie and I have immersed ourselves into, and we're constantly sharpening those skills, it's to bring this information not in an academic way, not to bring you these long words, but to say, hey, look, this is what we've applied in our life, and this are the results that I'm getting. And I'm only one beggar leading another beggar to where the bread is. And, the difference in a good bread, sourdough bread, okay, because it's only got 3 ingredients. Just a disclaimer there. And what you can do to enhance your body's sensory system and have more vibrancy. There's no point in adding years to your life if your life is miserable, but there is so much sense in adding life to your years. And that's what we want to bring. We want to add years to your life, not just life to your years. Because many people, if you go talk to anybody that has a lot of money, but they have no health, they tell you they trade it all to have this information years ago and to have applied that and done something different. And, I applaud your daughter. I applaud the young listeners, and I applaud those that are in their 80s and saying, you know what, enough is enough. And I'm going to make some changes. I'm not going to eat this food, or I'm not going to put this in my home. I'm not going to put this spray in the air because of what I'm breathing in.
Excellent. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Thank gosh for neuroplasticity, and our brains are constantly looking to learn.
Right.
And when you open it up and start doing that, you'll see how, sometimes I've worked with people that said everything I do all day long is wrong. I'm like, no, don't go down that path.
Right.
You've been marketed to and you bought into a system and a process and a way of living that seems normal. Okay. But don't tell me that everything you do all day long, because you're kind, you think well of others, you want to improve, constant, never ending improvement. Once you get to that mindset, there's no stopping. The law of the universe will provide, and all that great stuff. But we've talked about so much in the first batch of our podcast. Yes, it's overwhelming. And yes, we will start going down very focused path, but it's overwhelming. And that's why we want to just say,
Right.
take a breath, take a look at something, download the Yucca app, and don't go scan everything in your house, but scan something and just be curious. Don't do anything, but just take it a day at a time, a product at a time, a breath at a time.
Exactly. And the other thing that I want to encourage people to understand is, number one, you're not in this alone.
No.
Okay. We're going to do right now, I have planned 15 weeks of diving into different topics. And you're not alone in this. So it's going to be okay if you feel a little overwhelmed at first, because it's totally new. Anytime there's something new, our sensory is hyper focused, and we're looking around for the villain. We're looking around for the sabotager. Just take it one step at a time. Yeah. And join us on this journey, and we're going to guide you. And we will actually at a later time offer something even more in depth to help you. And that's my focus. That's my plan, is in the long term. It's not available right now, but in the long term, I want to give you a sample of what we're going to bring to you. And I want to walk with you through this journey so that you have somebody that is walking beside you that's gone through that. The most important coach, or the most important influencer that I can find, is somebody that's walked through that journey and then comes back and tells me what's ahead and what to expect. So I know that's my GPS coming up. You're going to have a detour. It's okay. The detour is going to take us a different route, but it's going to take us to our destination. And the final destination really is just to have a vibrant and full life without limitations, and to have a fueled life. And just know that you're among friends. So I hope you'll continue to join in with us, and you deserve a home that you feel vibrant in. And I'm talking this home, this body. That's the most important home that you have. You can dust the house, but if you don't dust this house, it's not giving you the fullness that you were designed. It's your birthright. Charlie, what other things that you might have that you'd want to share?
I think we've done enough. And I look forward to next Wednesday. And I think the only thing that's really resonating, I had a transformation. And I got so excited. I felt so different. I wasn't relying on any type of secret energy, like that. I just started having more energy. I felt better in the afternoons. And I thought, I want to tell people about this.
Right.
I want to give this away. I read a book and it sounded good, and I started teaching it. I experienced this.
Right.
I was the guy that didn't see anything outside the bubble I lived in. And I'm the guy now who can get lost looking for even a better solution, because I love the feeling of thriving. And this has been great, Stanley, today. Again, I love doing this. I love sharing. This
Yeah.
is knowledge, yes, but most of it is experience for me. It's an actual knowing from doing and experiencing and then sharing. And I won't offer anything unless I've actually implemented it and tried it in my life. And there's certain things that don't work for me, but it might work for you.
Right. Right. So thank you for joining us today. If you have gained anything out of this, or if you've got a challenge, I want to encourage you to put it into the chat, put it on the comments. This will be on our YouTube channel. We can both be reached on LinkedIn or Facebook. If there's something that you're going through, don't feel like you got to go through it alone. We're here to walk with you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So until then, be outstanding and have an outstanding